If you're anything like me, you've never even seen the animations for moves like Stone Edge and Focus Blast because if it wasn't 100% accurate, you weren't using it. This also goes for moves like Mega Horn, Dragon Rush, and don't even get me started on Iron Tail. So I don't blame you for not wanting to give these moves a second chance when your Pokemon learn them in Legends ZA. But the good news is ZA's combat has over 240 moves and I tested them all to let you know which ones are worth using and which ones aren't. And today we're talking about moves that are better in ZA than the mainline games. And yes, this video will be touching on both the competitive and casual side. And the first category of moves that we're going to be talking about are the inaccurate moves. I mean, I guess that accuracy isn't really a thing in Legends ZA, but they are in the mainline games. You know what I mean, right? But these moves all have one thing in common: an accuracy way too low for me to even consider using in a playthrough, especially since there's an alternative attack that does nearly as much damage but 100% reliable. Almost. You know, because rock types aren't bad enough and they definitely needed to be the only type to not have a widely distributed 100% accurate physical move. But I found that not only are these inaccurate counterparts worth using, the weaker moves are just flat out worse in every way. Like take Dragon Rush and Dragon Claw for example. Yeah, sure, Dragon Claw may have a quicker execution time than Dragon Rush, but Dragon Rush is more powerful and gives you an invincibility frame, allowing you to dodge moves from time to time. And just so we're on the same page, when I say execution time, I'm referring to the time it takes for your Pokemon to execute the move after you've told them what to do. Typically, the more powerful the move, the longer the execution time, but right now we're talking about the exceptions. Iron Tail is another one. It's a flat out stronger version of Iron Head with a shorter execution time and has a chance to drop the opponent's physical defense by one stage. Iron Head does have the ability to flinch your opponent, which obviously can be a good thing erasing an attack, but it's highly unreliable and requires precise timing. Or maybe it's just a skill issue. But even when your timing is precise, it's only a 30% chance to flinch your opponent, making this a suboptimal strategy to plan your game around. And the rock counterpart for this is Rock Slide. For years, I'd used the 90% accurate Rock Slide over Stone Edge, attaching a wide lens to make it 99% accurate. But I also spent just as long wishing that Stone Edge would be a viable move someday, and Legends ZA finally delivered. It's stronger, has a quicker execution time, and it's much more difficult to dodge than Rock Slide. Rock Slide has a long wind-up time that leaves your Pokemon vulnerable, and even when the move is executed, you can easily avoid it. So it makes no sense to run Rock Slide over Stone Edge in this game. But the most surprising move in this category, for me at least, was the difference between Mega Horn and X Scissor. I never thought I'd be opting to use the 85% accurate Mega Horn over any other bug move, but very similar to the other attacks I just mentioned, Mega Horn is a 120 base power move with an execution time much quicker than X Scissor, which makes Mega Horn not just one of the best bug moves, but one of the strongest attacking moves in the game. Cheers to finally being able to use these inaccurate moves. But the most staggering couplet of moves that I never thought I'd be able to talk about like this are the differences between Focus Blast and Aura Sphere. Or should I say Focus Miss? Usually Pokemon that can learn Aura Sphere will never run Focus Blast due to Aura Sphere never being able to miss, while Focus Blast is called Focus Miss for a reason. But in Legends ZA, not only do they have similar projectile animations, but they also have the same execution time. So why would you not use Focus Blast over Aura Sphere? Yeah, sure, the cooldown is a bit longer, which is fair to say about all these moves I mentioned, but you'd think they'd also have the drawback of having a longer execution time or being easily avoidable. But they don't, so all of these moves are a strict upgrade in my eyes. But it's important to note that not all these stronger and accurate moves are worth using over their weaker counterparts, because moves like Dynamic Punch still suck. Yeah, you could argue that there's no need to check accuracy when using this move since it's normally 50% accurate, but it is nerfed to be less powerful than close combat with a similar execution time, and the secondary effect of always confusing the opponent isn't even a benefit in ZA, because I don't think I've ever hit myself in confusion or whatever the drawback might be. So why would you use Dynamic Punch over close combat? This move isn't even good on No Guard Machamp. But in the same realm and similar to the mainline games, Blizzard, Hurricane, and Thunder are really only good situationally. All of these moves have such poor accuracy that you need some type of weather to make them 100% accurate, or it's not worth using, and wouldn't you know it, it's the same thing in ZA. They all have an incredibly long execution time, which gives your opponent way more than enough time to get to safety and launch a counter attack of their own. Ice Beam, Air Slash, and especially Thunderbolt are all superior in both the mainline games and ZA, being almost impossible to dodge with half the execution time. Sure, they're a little bit less damage, but some damage is always better than no damage. The next category of moves are the trapping moves: Fire Spin, Sand Tomb, and Whirlpool. Now, we just got done talking about how these higher base power moves fail to outweigh their inaccurate pitfalls, so why would a move with 35 base base power and imperfect accuracy seem enticing. I mean, sure, there is a trapping effect that doesn't allow your opponent to switch and it deals residual damage, but tell me why you wouldn't just use the perfectly accurate Ember or Water Gun instead. But in Legends ZA, these moves work differently. On their own, these moves will deploy a trap on the battlefield for about 10 seconds, dealing residual damage based on the user's attacking stat, unlike how the residual damage in the mainline games is a fixed amount being a percentage of the Pokemon's health, which means a lot more damage here. And when you turn these moves into a plus move, the area of effect doubles in size, the duration doubles to 20 seconds, and it deals double the damage. It's perfect for weakening an opponent or setting up traps on the battlefield to be able to get the range for a quick KO. They can be dodged or avoided somewhat easily by enemy trainers in competitive, but I did find this to be an effective strategy in the Rogue Mega Evolution battles, promotion matches, and even when trying to execute toxic style strategies. A side note, if you made it to this point in the video, I just want to ask to quickly check if you're subscribed if you're enjoying the content so far. It's free, it helps me out, and it lets me know that you want to see some of my upcoming Legends ZA content, like my next video about the best statuses and status moves in the game. Anyways, back to the video. While we're on the topic of weak, inaccurate moves, another set of moves that are completely worth using in Legends ZA are all the multi-hit moves like Pin Missile, Rock Blast, Bullet Seed, and even Water Shuriken. Now, normally these moves are a gamble at best in the mainline games. You roll the dice, hoping for all 5 hits and a 125 base power move to catch your opponent off guard. But all too often, you only get 2 hits for a measly 50 base power move, making these moves unreliable at best. And yes, you can use the loaded dice to guarantee 4 or 5 hits, but that still doesn't fix the accuracy problem for moves like Scale Shot and Rock Blast. But anyways, in Legends ZA, every time these moves are used, you are guaranteed to hit all 5 attacks. And the benefit, just like in the mainline games, is that if a Pokemon is hit by the first move, this removes their Focus Sash as well as any damage reducing berry if they were holding one. There's also this niche mechanic in the ZA Royale. I discovered that if you get a card that says something like get 3 hits with a super effective water move, you can use Water Shuriken 1 time, land 3 of them, and you can complete the card with 1 attack. The same goes for moves like Bullet Seed, Rock Blast, and even Pin Missile if you run into those cards as well. Now, I won't say that these moves are great in competitive, but they are worth using in your playthrough, especially when paired with items like the Silver Powder, Hardstone, Miracle Seed, or any other item that boosts the damage of these moves, because it makes your Heracross have a 90 base power move before stab at level 10. And on another side note, using the plus button on your Nintendo Switch controller obviously makes the damage increase of all moves, but with Greninja specifically, they combine all 5 Water Shurikens into one giant one. So that way you can use this giant Water Shuriken inside and outside Mega Evolution if you want. Now, this next category of moves might sound a little contradicting to our first category when I say this, but there is this whole category of weaker moves that are actually better than their stronger counterparts in Legends ZA, which is not the case at all in mainline games. Here's what I mean. In the mainline games, almost nobody would prefer to run moves like Brick Break over close combat or Dazzling Gleam over Moonblast in single battles. But it can be advantageous to run these moves exclusively over your stronger moves when in Rogue Mega battles, promotion matches, and even competitive ranked battles. And there are 2 reasons for this. The first is execution time. Now, we've talked about this a little bit, but take a look at the difference of execution time between close combat and Brick Break. Now, of course, when you're in the ZA Royale sneaking up on an opponent, it's best to use a move like close combat to one-shot them. But in promotion matches and competitive battles, the wind-up time leaves you vulnerable to incoming attacks, and there are times when your opponent can get off 2 attacks for the KO while you're still winding up for your first attack. Now, the second reason here is your battle strategy, or maybe even your move combos, if that makes sense. What I mean is, yes, a move like Energy Ball is stronger and supposedly better for special attacking grass Pokemon than Leaf Blade. But the biggest drawback is that in order to use Energy Ball, your Pokemon first needs to travel close to you in order to use it. And all of this time is vulnerability time. Whereas a move like Leaf Blade is able to be used immediately right where your Pokemon is without traveling back to your side. This can be used to combo another move or save precious time to stay brawling on the battlefield to pick up another KO, which is why I'm calling this category brawling moves. Now, I have found that 2 strong stab moves are always a part of my moveset in important battles, online or promotion, but having at least 1 move in your moveset being a brawler move has helped complement my moveset and allowed me to climb the ranks of competitively quite easily. These moves include Leaf Blade, Dazzling Gleam, Brick Break, Aerial Ace, and almost any priority move, but especially Extreme Speed and Aqua Jet. Using attacks that don't require my Pokemon to run 20 yards to start winding up means more damage per second, less vulnerability time, probably attacking before your opponents, and even more knockouts, all of which are a positive thing. This makes moves like Energy Ball, Moonblast, and even Dragon Pulse worse than almost any other move of their typing, being that you're required to stand in a specific spot before being able to use them. And since I consider myself an active battler who's constantly moving around the battlefield for some reason, these moves have just been my kryptonite. Okay, so before getting to the last category, I want to go over some honorable mentions. I previously talked about some moves needing to be used in certain conditions to be viable in the mainline games, and that's true with Solar Beam and competitive as well, being that it's really only viable in the harsh sunlight. But I found a loophole with it in ZA. If you use Solar Beam normally, it takes forever to launch and is probably one of the worst moves you can have on your Pokemon. But if you use it as a plus move, it is almost instant, as if your Pokemon is using Solar Beam when the sunlight is harsh. It's also a great move to have on your planned Mega for the battle, as every move used during Mega Evolution is a plus move, meaning that your Solar Beam is always quick. It's a great way to also deal some unexpected burst damage. Somewhat related to this, I also want to say that the Quick Claw is one of the most broken yet inconsistent items a Pokemon can use. I've been talking a lot about execution time in this video and how detrimental it can be to survivability, but the Quick Claw has a 30% chance to randomly eliminate your execution time completely. But because it is random and inconsistent, I can only talk about it as an honorable mention. Still one of my favorite items in a playthrough. Future Sight is getting a mention because it's similar to the category of trapping moves that we talked about earlier, but the payoff has a bit longer of a delay. I never recommend using it normally, as it is quite easy to dodge, but using it as a plus move or during your Mega Evolution doubles the radius of the attack as well as the power of it. I have found use for this move with Mega Gardevoir and using Future Sight before switching into a better matchup to either allow my moves to come off cooldown or to use a powerful wind-up move like dropping a Draco while sitting in the Future Sight circle to use it as a sort of shield. But admittedly, it's still not the best strategy. And the last two honorable mentions are getting lumped together due to being somewhat similar, the Shell Bell and the Big Root. Now obviously, staying alive is the best way to rack up points in competitive matches, and pairing these items with bulky Pokemon like Tyranitar and Meganium respectively allow them to do just that. If you've watched any of my videos before, you would know that I'm a huge fan of the draining moves like Draining Kiss and Giga Drain, but the Shell Bell is a fantastic alternative for anyone that doesn't learn them like Tyranitar. They are already quite bulky, and recovering 8% of the damage dealt back into HP makes them this unkillable wall, unless you're up against like a fighting type Pokemon or something. And using the Big Root with moves like Giga Drain or Draining Kiss allows you to restore an additional 30% HP during your attacks. And although the Big Root isn't as good in competitive battles, these two items are probably my favorite in Rogue Mega Evolution battles, besides a Mega Stone of course. But the last move that I want to talk about that is better in ZA than the mainline games is Protect. Now I know that Protect runs rampant in VGC and has many benefits there, but it's not nearly as common in singles, and I've never seen anyone use it in a playthrough before. But in my ZA playthroughs, I'm at the point now where I don't know if I can get through a match without it. The reason why Protect is so good is because of the cooldown mechanic. In regular Pokemon, if someone protects, you can just use the same exact move the next turn, which means you just wasted everybody's time for no reason. I'm looking at you, Pelipper. But in Legends ZA, timing a perfect Protect means that not only are you not going to take any damage, but you're also ensuring that the opposing Pokemon cannot use the same move for about the next 10 seconds or so, which gives you the ability to launch a counterattack and take the KO instead. And in case anyone's wondering, although Protect and Detect function the same way in the mainline games, they have a slight difference here, being that Protect has a 2-second longer cooldown, but in exchange a little bit longer of an invincibility window. So technically, if you're good at timing your Protects, Detect is better to use, but I prefer the additional iframes from Protect. Probably a skill issue. And just because I was really looking forward to this Pokemon's return in Legends ZA, I just want to say that Aegislash is much worse in Legends ZA than they are in the mainline games. Using Aegislash in the mainline games is fantastic. You can manipulate being in either sword form or shield form depending on the situation to maximize your damage output or minimize the amount of damage taken. But that lengthy animation in the mainline games is a huge negative in ZA. The game doesn't freeze in combat anymore when you're switching to blade form, meaning that you are a free punching bag to any nearby opponent. And unless you have the foresight to click King Shield 30 seconds in advance, chances are you're getting knocked out before Aegislash finally protects. Leave it to Game Freak to only implement abilities to nerf our favorite Pokemon. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and a very special thank you to those of you on my Discord server who always support me in whatever I do. If you enjoyed the video, I'd really appreciate a like, a comment, maybe even hitting that hype button if you feel comfortable, and don't forget to subscribe to see my upcoming Legends ZA videos for more tips. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon.